Hi, my name's Max Walker&Williams, and today we are going into the metaverse. What is it? Where is it? How will it affect you? And what does it all mean? Let's get straight into it. And by the way, if you're not on Twitter, there's a great community over there where we discuss things. I keep people updated with what I'm doing day to day, and we have quite a good laugh. So even if you're not on Twitter, I strongly suggest you join it because there's a great crypto community on Twitter, and you can follow me at @MWalker&Williams. Okay, so let's get straight into it. The metaverse. So the metaverse is basically the World Wide Web meets VR. VR, of course, stands for virtual reality. So what does that mean, Max? Okay, well, basically what it means is the World Wide Web, effectively, is loads of computers all over the world talking to each other. So I create a video here in Preston, I put it on my computer, and that uploads to YouTube's computers, and then you go on with your computer and you can watch my video. And that's it. There's loads and loads of computers. Now, you take that, and instead of looking at videos in 2D, so you're looking at this picture and you're listening to this sound, it's 3D in a world. So you connect virtual reality with all the computers of the web, and that creates equals Web 3.0. So now and in the future, if you're looking into this space, you're going to see Web 3.0. When most people are talking about Web 3.0, that's what they mean. They mean the new internet of virtual reality, and that's connected to NFTs. If you haven't seen the video on NFTs, I strongly recommend you watch that first, and I'll put a link in the description below for that video, and then come back, because I'm going to refer, because the two things are intertwined, and I will be referring to non-fungible tokens later on in the video. And if you want to know what those mean, watch the other video first. So this is not a new concept, by the way, and you'll be familiar, hopefully, with The Sims. You may have played that, or a really low quality version would be something like Theme Hospital, or those kind of games. And the big one of this virtual world is Second Life. So Second Life is a game. Imagine a world that's exactly the same as our planet. All of the land is the same, the countries are the same, the size is the same. It's exactly the same. It's a photocopy, a 3D photocopy of our planet Earth in a computer game. Now you can log in to Second Life, just Google it on your phone, PC and laptop are better. You can Google it on your laptop, type in Second Life, it comes up, you create an account, and then you have an avatar. An avatar is the version of you, a representation of you in the world. So it's you in the virtual world, and you can walk around in first person, looking around at the shops, you can walk down the high street, and there are other people walking around on the planet that are actual real people. There are no computers in the virtual reality in Second Life. Every person you see is a real person. Now at the moment, or certainly since 2003, June of 2003, people were doing this on a PC monitor. So you're looking at a flat screen through the eyes of your computer man or woman in the game, and you were looking at shops and walking in shops and looking at walking the dog or the park, and you were doing that on a flat screen. Now, Second Life is no joke. It's got 43 million daily active users. That's 43 million people log in at least once a day on Second Life. I think it's more like 143 million for the number of accounts that are in existence. But by real users, I've got an account because I signed up when it first launched to have a look, to see what it's all about. I haven't been on since 2003, so I don't really count. So 43 million daily active users, which is incredible. There's only 70 something million people in the UK, so it's like more than half of the entire population of the United Kingdom are in Second Life, and they're using it daily. So what's the point? Well, the point is you can have some fun and you can express yourself, and you can meet up with your mates. You might have mates on Second Life, and you can design your own home and live your dreams. If life hasn't quite worked out the way you hoped it would, in real life, you can express yourself in Second Life. It's a way for people to communicate and meet up and things that's better than on the phone. And certainly in 2003, before FaceTime and the like existed, it was a bit of fun. You could meet up with your friends. So things in Second Life, by the way, happen in real time. And what I mean by that is, if you're a female in Second Life, you can get pregnant, and the pregnancy takes between 9 and 10 months. And there are police, and you can commit crime, and everything that happens in real life is applicable pretty much in Second Life. But like I say, this is not a new concept. So it launched June 2003. And then another game that's similar in concept for the purposes of this talk about the metaverse, but is different, is EVE Online. So EVE is set in space, and you have spaceships, galaxies, and planets, everything sort of like, I don't know if you've seen the film Riddick, but it's that kind of thing. It's futuristic, it's in space, and you have ships that can mine, and you can mine for ore, and then that ore has value, and you can buy things with it. And people actually pay real money in their currency to buy ore. And you can actually go on eBay, type in EVE Online, and it'll come up with somebody who's got a spaceship. And it's taken them a long, long time. It might not take them money, but it might take them 3 years to earn enough ore to create this ship, and then they sell the ship. So if you've got a lot of money, but you haven't got, you're cash rich but time poor, you can go on eBay, pay the person real money, £1,000, some of them, and then they'll meet you in the game and give you ownership of that ship. So you actually buy things in the second life, in the virtual reality, with real money in the real life. And I hope from me explaining this, you can see why. And you might say, well, I mean, if you're not a gamer or you're not in this realm, you might think, well, that's a bit sad, but it's not really, because if, whether it be buying a football shirt for your favorite team, well, it's only the same thing. You support the team, you want to represent the team, you want to be part of the tribe. Well, if you want to be part of a certain level in this society on EVE, and that means having a particular type of spaceship, or you want to support a particular galaxy, well, it's the same thing. You pay some money and you're rewarded with a Liverpool football shirt or a particular type of spaceship. So it's just value for different things. So this is kind of where we started, and now the new kids on the block, and you're going to hear a lot more about these guys, is Decentraland, the Sandbox, and Meta, which is obviously previously Facebook. So these guys are a little bit different, and I'll explain how and why in a minute. But Decentraland is a very similar concept, if you like, to Second Life, as is the Sandbox. Sandbox is more of a game, and Decentraland is more like Second Life that I've just previously explained. And then Meta is basically Facebook saying, and it's quite visionary of them. By the way, I'm going to do another video just purely on Meta and Facebook and why I think that by going down the path Facebook are currently going down, they could very well bankrupt themselves. And I know that's a massive statement, and I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg knows what he's doing, but I'm very, very confident that if he carries on going the way he's going, it's not going to end well for Facebook. And I can fully back that up. And I hope when I explain it to you, I think you'll actually agree. And if you own Facebook stock, you might want to think about that. Anyway, that video will be coming soon. So please hit the notification bell and subscribe. You'll be notified when that is ready. Okay, anyway, so these guys are a new version of the old school, which is Second Life. Second Life, like I say, still alive and kicking with 43 million daily active users. So these guys are creating their own versions of planet Earth. So you've got Decentraland here, you've got the Sandbox here, you've got Second Life here, and they're not interchangeable at the moment. So if you live in one, you can't live in the others. A bit like if you're on Facebook, you can't be on Bebo and talk to each other. Okay, so now there's one more thing that's very, very important to understand, and that's the future. You can see here I've put future. If you're watching this and you're my age or older, generally speaking, you're going to think this is a flash in the pan. You're going to think the metaverse is a bit of nonsense. Generally speaking, people I speak to my age and older think, it's just another fad or whatever. This really isn't, and you need to know about this because you're too old to think that it's nonsense, but you're not old enough where it doesn't matter. So you really do need to know about this, and it really is going to be the web, but so much more. It's going to be a bigger revolution than the internet. Now, I remember pre-internet, and what a revolutionary thing it was for commerce, for communication. This is going to be bigger than that, and I think you'll agree with me by the end of this video. COD, or Call of Duty, and Fortnite are two computer games that I must explain to you first. Why? Because without meaning to be, they're sort of in the metaverse and they are virtual reality. And also they represent the future, because if you're my age or older, you need to know this stuff. So Call of Duty and Fortnite. Fortnite has 125 million active players. That's people that are logging in and playing a game of Fortnite at least once a month. There's 125 million of them. Call of Duty earned $5.2 million a day last year. $5.2 million a day in revenue. And it's not just from selling the game, but it's also from in-game purchases. And that's important. You need to remember that. We're going to come back to that. Fortnite, in its first year of launch in 2018, it generated 2.4 billion in sales. 2.4 billion. That's 2,400 million in sales. COD, by the way, is no small community. They have 53 million players logging into the game per month. So Call of Duty, 53 million players a month. Fortnite, 125 million players a month. These two together, if they were a country, they'd be the 8th biggest country in the world by population numbers. So 178 million people means they're the 8th largest country in the world. Why is that important, Max? Because the mean age of people playing Fortnite is 14, and the mean age of the average age of people playing Call of Duty is 24. Why is that important? Because the people playing these games are our future presidents, our future leaders, our future council members, our future senators, our future judges, our future lords, are all in this space. Not all of them, but a good hundreds of millions of them are in this space. So what does that mean? It means that this tells us what the future is going to look like. And these guys are already spending $5.2 million a day on in-game purchases. So what's an in-game purchase? Well, if you play the game with your 6 friends and you have a gun and you want to have your name along the side of the gun and you'd like your gun in gold with some diamonds, and you want to show off to your mates and you're wearing the standard army gear, but you'd like it to be in grey and black rather than green and blue or whatever, you can pay money and you can customize the way your avatar, the way the person that represents you in the game looks. Which is cool if your mates and you can turn up to a new game showing a new gun that's slightly more powerful, so it has utility, or just looks better, just looks cooler, and your mates are really impressed. You can even have them custom signed, well, not yet, but you will in the future be able to have them custom signed by heroes, people who play in the game in real life. So if you're a big fan of Tom X the Killer in Call of Duty, he can sign a few guns and then they're for sale in the gun. The reason this is also important is not just because these are our future leaders and members of society, but also because they are already used to meeting their friends online in a world. Now, these games are different to these. Please don't confuse the two. Second Life is the entire planet with a lot going on. You can go to the cinema in Second Life. You can walk your dog in Second Life. You can't just float along in these games. There is a finite amount of time. There is a purpose to the game. There is a mission. It might be, last the longest, survive the longest. It might be, king of the hill, take the flag, whatever, like in paintballing. But nevertheless, they are a virtual world where you meet your friends, you talk on a headset, you have avatars. So this is what I'm trying to get across, is that these people who play this are already very aware of the value of the digital assets in the game, and they're also very used to spending time in a world that doesn't exist in real life. So now we take what we've learned over here, sort of what this is, the Web 3.0, the virtual reality aspect and what that means. We take the history, which is Second Life, and the popularity of that and how it's grown over the years, and EVE Online, showing the different variations of the same thing. Then we've looked at the new guys in town, Decentraland, the Sandbox, and Meta, which is previously Facebook. Then we've looked at how I think the future will pan out and why that's going to happen because of these guys being prepped in these games that they love so much. Now we look at the applications, and this is where the whole thing comes to life. Okay, so education. Right, imagine we're going to start and we're going to go clockwise around the applications. Education, and I've put Think T-Rex. Imagine this. As it currently stands in a classroom, you have a teacher stood, much like I am, at the front of the class with a blackboard, and then you have 5, 10, 30, 50, however many children sat in front of them, and they're talking about T-Rex. And if they're a really cool teacher and they're very invested in their kids, they might walk around the room like a T-Rex with tiny hands, making the children laugh and roaring. They might have a TV. It used to be a big clunky thing that used to wheel in on a trolley when I was at school, but now they've got the flat screen TVs, and they might have a video that's really cool and submersive about T-Rex. Now imagine that the children could put headsets on, visual, real headsets, physical headsets, in the classroom, and the teacher puts one on too, and the teacher can see the children through the headset, except the whole room, exactly as it is in real life, has now been cartoonized, and all the children are different characters, and then the walls fall away, and the children can see the teacher, and the whole room is as it is in real life, except you're seeing it in virtual reality, like in a movie. Now imagine the walls fall away, and actually, you're not in the classroom anymore, you're still sat in your chair at your table, but you're in the middle of a jungle. And you look around and a pterodactyl flies over. And you've got the headset on, you've got the goggles on, and you hear the pterodactyl coming, you can see it, and then there's trees, and all of a sudden the trees start rustling. And then a T-Rex, a real T-Rex, you know, in visually, comes into the vision, and you can see it. And then the T-Rex goes to bite and then stops and freezes. And the teacher can say, wow, look how tall the T-Rex is compared to me, children. And the teacher can go and stand next to the T-Rex, and these kids are still sat in their little chairs in the middle of this clearing, in the middle of this jungle, and there's a T-Rex next to the teacher, and the teacher can say, look at his little arms, and this is why he's got little arms, and this is how he's evolved, and look at the size of the claws, and the children can then get up out of the chairs, they can walk across the jungle floor, they can go over to the T-Rex, and they can actually see the size of the claw compared to their own hand, compared to their teacher's hand. Then the teacher can ask them to stand back, and the T-Rex comes back to life, and the T-Rex eats an animal or does something. Now compare that learning experience to, now we're back in the room, VR headsets don't exist, and I'm stood at the front of the class, and I'm saying, the T-Rex had tiny little arms, and big legs, and massive teeth, and used to eat smaller dinosaurs. Here's a picture of it on the board. Compare that with the virtual learning, virtual reality experience that I've just shared with you. Now you apply that to all different learning, and I don't care if you're sat at the back facing the wrong way, I don't care. If you're not interested in school and they've got that kind of virtual reality learning, then good luck, there's no helping you, because I think it's absolutely amazing, and that is what's coming. So that's the first one, okay? Education, think T-Rex. Communication, okay, so we currently have Zoom, and we've all got used to that, Microsoft Teams and Zoom. And what does it mean? It means we all sit around a table because of COVID in our bubble, or before that we were all sat on our own at home, and you've got a webcam and a rubbish internet connection, and you've got a screen, and you can see them on their screen, and if there's a lot of people, you can see small little boxes of screens, of monitors, all people moving, and you're trying to concentrate, and it keeps dropping out, and they hold something up to the monitor, and they're trying to show you the new mobile phone they've designed, and they're holding it up, and you can't really see what they're talking about, and they're trying to show you something intricate that they've designed, and it's better than nothing. Don't get me wrong, the internet in itself is a revolution, and I'm not taking away from that, but it's not ideal, and it's certainly not as good as being in the same room as each other, where you can gauge somebody's reaction by being able to pick up little nuances on their face. You can both look at the same object at the same time, pass it to each other, and alike. It's not the same experience. However, Microsoft Teams just announced that they're going to be putting an absolute fortune into the VR, much like Facebook, and you're going to have, eventually, through Microsoft Teams, you're going to have a Microsoft Teams headset, you're going to put that on, and guess what? Just like the kids in the classroom, you're now in a boardroom, and your boss is there, and the head of design is there, and your client is there, and your colleague is there, and your best mate is there, who's also your colleague, because this is a work thing, and you're all sat at a table in a really nice conference room, and you're talking about the design of this new phone, except I'm showing it to you, and it's just like you're in the room, because guess what? We are in the room together, for all intents and purposes. We can hear each other clearly. You can see what I can see you, you can see me, I can see how your face is moving and reacting, and I can show you something, most importantly, and I can say, look at the way we've designed this new phone, and then you can take it off me and say, yeah, can we just change the number of holes there, because I don't like that? Can we? Now you compare that again to, we're back in our underpants in our house with the shirt on, and we're trying to make out the small little boxes. It's night and day. So which one are you going to choose? Are you going to buy the software that means you've just got a 2D screen and a webcam, or are you going to buy the immersive experience where we're all sat in a boardroom together? So, romance. Now, I've made romance a separate category because I've picked what I think are all the top line stuff, the most important bits. And romance is not to be sniffed at because it's a £6.7 billion industry and is projected to be a £9.9 billion industry by 2026. So it's no joke, it's a massive thing. In fact, that on its own, just that on its own might make the whole metaverse worth this video. Now, imagine this, let's compare what we have. And by the way, if you're watching this, you can probably remember where if you'd met a girl or a guy online, either you or they were a bit of a weirdo and your mates used to tease you. Now it's like completely the norm. That's gonna happen with the metaverse. Would you like to go on Match.com? There are other websites, of course, where you've got somebody's profile picture and you hope that's what they look like. And then you've got a bit of a description about them that they've written themselves. And then you click on it and there might be a video, and that's nice because you get to see them talk and, you know, move around a bit, and you get to see them in different lights as they move around. And there might be a bit of a thing about from their friends that they've written. You know, each dating website has a different USP, unique selling point, which is their best friend describes them instead of them describing themselves. They just for dogs, just for cat lovers, and on all those different things. But the premise is the same. You're looking at still photos, or if you're lucky, a video of a person you've never met, that you have to leave your house, leave the comfort and safety of your own home, particularly if you're a lady, go out into the cold night if you're in the UK and probably raining, meet somebody who you hope turns up, and then when they do turn up, if they turn up, they look like the person that they said, of the photos that you've seen, and they act like the person that they said they were. Now picture, there's a new dating website, and by the way, I don't know of anyone doing this, I'm sure there are people working on it, but this is a great business opportunity for somebody if you're so inclined. Imagine now where you have to sign up to a new website, where just like with Starling Bank or all of these online banks that are coming online, to prove you are you have to scan your face with your smartphone, and you have to look up and down and stuff, and it scans your face. Then you have to show your ID, then you close up, and then you have to show your ID next to your face. What this new company will do is they will take your face metrics, and you will input questions about your behavior and your character and things like that, and they will create an avatar for you. So you won't be able to choose what your avatar looks like, because they don't want people in their dating site who don't look like the person in real life, because it's a waste of everyone's time. And can be very cruel, in fact. So you'll be issued with an avatar, and my avatar, unfortunately, will look just like me. Now, what you will be able to do, I think, in the future, and this again, we're going to come back to NFTs, is as a standard for free, once I've inputted my face and things, they'll create an avatar that looks exactly like me in the dating app. But I'll come with a white suit, and girls with a white dress, or vice versa, whatever. Now, I'll be able to buy upgrades. So I'll pay a fiver, I'll pay $5, £5, and I'll be able to buy a black suit. I pay £50 and I buy a one-of-one black Armani suit. I pay a little bit extra, I have a red tie, and I can make myself look the best I possibly can in the dating app. And girls can do the same. Now, there might even be a room that's free to go into where girls and guys can meet. Then there might be a $1 room, a $5 room, a $50 room, and a $1,000 room where you've got to pay $1,000 to go into this room, go into this club. The music's slightly nicer, there's the ambience, the environment is nicer, it's mahogany instead of whatever. So imagine now you go into this room knowing that everybody in the room looks like they do in real life. And maybe they've even got to update every 6 months if they're still on the site, their looks in case they put weight on or put weight off or whatever. Then you can move around in this room with your virtual headset, a bit like the T-Rex, but now we're in a bar. It's really, really nice. There's music playing and that's lovely. And there's a lady stood or a guy stood over by the bar, and she's leaning there having a drink, and you can approach her and start a conversation. And you can see her up and down. You can judge how tall she is compared to you, which is a fact. You can see what she looks like, what he looks like. You can have a drink and have a conversation. And the date will happen live from your home, from the safety of your own home. And you might have 2 or 3 of these before you decide to go on a real date in real life. And I honestly believe that in the future, by the time Olivia, my 9-year-old daughter, is dating, I truly believe that her and her friends will be having a conversation, and one of them will say, I'm going to go and meet this guy, Steve, that I've been talking so much about, and they'll say, how many times have you metaversed, or whatever the slang will be? And she'll say, none. And they'll go, are you crazy? He could be a killer, he could be this, he could be that, the other. Meet him on the meta first, and they'll go and have a couple of dates in the metaverse. They might even go watch a film together. So think about that. You're in the room, it's going really well, and there's a cinema complex. There's a cinema just down the road in the complex that you're in, and you two leave the bar together, and you go and watch the latest movie that's out in real life, but you're sat in your living room watching it, and you turn right, and the person you're on the date with is sat next to you, watching the film with you. How amazing is that? And if you want popcorn, you can just eat it at home while you're watching the film. So that's kind of thing, and because it's such a big money industry, it was worth mentioning, and because it's just another thing that's going to be revolutionized by the metaverse. Okay, so gaming. We've already talked about this, and we've touched on it a little bit. I am going to be doing another video about the metaverse. It's going to be much longer and much more in depth, and I'm going to go into big detail about some of the things that some of the projects, including Hedera Hashgraph, are planning for the future. And it is mind-blowing stuff, where credit is transferable from game to game. You can even move from platform to platform, and the platforms don't even necessarily have to talk to each other. But that's a whole other video that I've got brewing in the background. So gaming, you can imagine from what I've said with these other bits, with the communication, the education, what that will do to these games. Imagine where instead of just playing a game where it says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 50 people playing these cartoons are fighting in an area, and then there's one winner, everybody else is dead, they leave the game and it's done. Imagine instead of that, when you're killed, if you want to, you don't just leave the game, but you can actually participate by standing on railings overlooking the thing, and you can actually observe people playing. You might even be able to communicate with your friends still in the game and help them out a little bit. And there's a bar. You can walk away from that and go and watch Liverpool versus Manchester United on the TV in the bar, while your friends are still playing, the ones that haven't been killed yet, are still playing in the zone behind you down in the Coliseum. Behind you, and you're stood watching the Liverpool game, and then a mate appears next to you, he's just been killed in the game, and he watches it with you while you wait for your other mates to finish, and you just watch the Liverpool game. Maybe you have a go at bowling, and there's a lobby, and you can actually start playing darts or pool or whatever in the virtual reality while watching the game in real life, in real time. So it's really going to start to revolutionize the gaming industry, which, by the way, has already overtaken, not just these two, I mean the gaming industry in general has already overtaken the film business in terms of expense, how much they spend on games versus how much they spend on movies, and revenue. Information, news, and then I've underlined the word witness. Imagine this. So you've got these new cameras that mean that anything that's filmed can be streamed to a metaverse, to a world, okay? Now imagine with all this new fake news and all that sort of stuff, what's real, what's not, you know, these deep fakes where they copy people's faces and make them talk and say things that they never said. Imagine that, but it'll be turned on its head because you'll be able to witness it. So there'll be a lady stood in London at some amazing parade, and she'll be saying, look at this Christmas parade, blah, 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 blah. But rather than talking to you and you're sat at home watching it on a screen, you'll be able to put your VR headset on and you'll be able to stand next to her. And she'll be able to actually watch and walk around the cameraman and be part of the crowd and actually look back and see her talking to the film thing. And you'll be able to watch her talking about it. You can just stand in front of the cameraman like this and watch. Obviously you won't be blocking it because you're not really there. But in your mind and in your vision and in your hearing, you will be there. And you'll be able to walk around the streets of London and you'll be able to see the parade she's talking about and witness it. And the reason I put witness is because it's going to be very interesting to happen. It's going to be a lot harder to be a bad person in the future in certain ways, like dictators and that sort of thing in developing countries, because we'll be able to be there and witness personally. Judges, you know, people in general will be able to put headsets on, and people in these countries where there's atrocities happening will be able to film them live, and you won't be watching it back weeks later on your TV screen. You'll actually be stood there participating as a witness in what's taking place. And that might be a riot in London, a riot in America, it could be anything, a football game, which I'll get onto in a second, live events. So you can actually witness things as they're happening on the scene. Live events. So at the moment, Glastonbury, I have a friend actually who's got a business that's developing this stuff for real right now. It's going to be happening, coming out soon. At the moment, If you want to watch Glastonbury or any music festival, you either go to the festival and stand there in the rain, again if it's in the UK, or you sit at home watching it on your TV with the sound coming out of the TV straight at you, no surround sound, and so on and so forth. Now you'll be able to, you'll subscribe or buy or be given a headset, you'll put it on again, including really good sound, and you'll be able to stand in the crowd at Glastonbury watching the stage. But you'll also be able to see the stage over there, just like it is in real life, and it'll be an equal walk. It'll be exactly the same as if you're there, and you'll walk across and you'll be able to go to another stage. But better than that, you'll be able to climb over the barrier in your mind. You'll be able to climb over the barrier, up the stairs to the stage. Then you'll be able to stand in front of all the crowd that are live, right there, happening live as it's happening. So the Foo Fighters are on stage 1. Dave Grohl's playing away. I'm stood next to him, and the crowd is all there and cheering me. And the real people, real live streaming, who are actually there are the people that I'm actually looking at, and I'm seeing them and hearing them cheer as they're doing it in real life. And then I can turn and watch how he plays his guitar. I can go up really close and see how he moves his fingers. I can go and sit by the drums and see, and you'll be able to have that experience. Football matches. You either sit in the stands watching the game, or you sit at home or in the pub watching the game. Not for much longer. Baseball, all the same. You'll be able to walk on the pitch and actually stand next to the pitcher as he pitches the ball, and then you'll be able to see the ball being hit, and then you'll be able to run around with the batsman as he runs around the bases. You'll be able to actually jog alongside him, or actually stand in front of him, pretend to stop him as he runs through you. Imagine that experience compared to what we have right now, which is watching it on TV or standing there in the stadium freezing you. Rehabilitation, PTSD, incarceration, disabled people, etc. Imagine people who have been locked up for a long time and have served their sentences and are being released. Imagine a program that means that they can be released without being released. And they can spend a couple of hours a day in society without posing a threat to people. And then their behavior, their thought patterns are monitored to see how they're going to amalgamate back into society. Imagine people who are physically disabled and unable to leave the house. And the opportunity that this will afford them, just being able to walk around again and go out and meet friends and walk to the shops. And then PTSD, people with post-traumatic stress disorder can relive things in a structured way that allows that and helps them to go through a process of learning to deal with what they've seen and what their lived events. And I really think that's going to play a major, virtual reality and the metaverse are going to play a big part in rehabilitation in general. And every one of these, by the way, is a massive business opportunity. And these companies and businesses are being built right now. Okay, I said I was going to talk about NFTs a little bit because there's still a lot of people who rightly are learning about this technology and don't really see the application. I touched on it very gently when I talked about in-game purchases with the 5.2 million. But look at it. Let's say, for example, in the metaverse, the teacher wants the T-Rex package. Well, he's going to pay for it. The school will pay for it as part of the curriculum. They want the maths package, they'll pay for it as part of the curriculum. Now they're effectively buying a learning process for a T-Rex that doesn't exist, okay? Now, if they want to be the only school or the only college or the only university with this particular package, then they NFT it and they can prove that they own the copyright to it and so on and so forth. And people who previously might not necessarily been able to protect their intellectual property will be able to do so and license it out. Communication, Teams versus Zoom. So we're back in the boardroom now. And it's not my boardroom, but actually it's a meeting with Chase Manhattan Bank. And I plug my headset in, I arrive at these wonderful offices, virtual of course, I walk into the room. Now are we going to sit on the floor? Well, of course we're not going to sit on the floor. I know we're not really sitting, but it'd be pretty weird to have a meeting with the bank when we're sat on the floor. And we can't be floating in the air, so where are we? We're sat down. So if we all agree that we're sat down, it'd be very odd, again, for 4 of us to be sat on this side and 4 people to be sat on that side with nothing in between us. So what do we need? We need a table. So it's not a table we can touch, it's not a table we can lean on, but we need a table for aesthetics. Now, is Chase Manhattan Bank going to have a bog standard IKEA table? Or are they going to have a table that's cost them $100,000 and it was a one-of-one, handmade, hand-designed digital table by Ferrari? Well, it's Chase Manhattan Bank and they want to flex their muscles and show their power and superiority, so they're going to want the Ferrari table, of course. They're not going to want the IKEA table. Now, we all understand that the table doesn't exist, but you've still got clients coming to meet you in a room and you need a table and chairs. So you're going to want the best because you're a massive bank. So what are you going to do? Well, the only way you can justify paying $100,000 for a table that doesn't exist is to at least have the one of one, to be the only people to have that table, because then that scarcity breeds value. So you NFT it, and then all of a sudden, you know that no one else can own that table, and one day you'll be able to sell it, and you can assure the buyer that it's genuine, it's made from Ferrari, it has that provenance, it was designed digitally, it was designed like cars are designed on the computers before they're made, it was designed by the Ferrari designers, a famous Ferrari designer. So, and the walls are bare. So what are they going to have on the walls? Are they going to have nothing? No, of course not. You can't just have 4 bare white walls. So they're going to want colour. Who's going to pick the colour? Well, it'll be an interior designer. And there will be professional, multi-million pound designers, and I touched on it with Second Life, I'll come back to it in a second. There will be very wealthy interior designers and furniture designers who have never designed anything physical in the real world, because Chase Manhattan Bank needs to know what colours work really well in this room. And if you don't know, you don't know. So you hire somebody and they come along and they say, yeah, I can see the room, it's great, it's fantastic, it's nice and big, I like the light. This is what you should do. And you should have this kind of lighting, you should have these colours, and this one of one Ferrari table. Oh, and by the way, Beeple is an NFT artist, and we think you should have his latest piece, nice big piece on the wall there. And then when we walk in, I'm really impressed by the fact that they've got this stunning table, these beautiful wall colours, and they've got this beautiful piece of art that's moving. And I'm all of a sudden, I'm really impressed. Well, that makes a difference. So that's where the value comes from. Okay, so, we touched on it in Second Life. There are already people who've become millionaires in real life, making and designing things on Second Life, including a lady, and you can Google it, Google Second Life millionaire lady, and she made more than $1 million, probably many millions now, it was a few years ago, designing clothes. So you can go into the shop in Second Life, and you're born with I don't know, jeans and a blue shirt, and you want a pink t-shirt and a skirt. So you go into the shop, and the lady has a team designing clothes, digitally, and selling them in her boutique shop in Second Life, and then she opened a second branch and a third, and she might have bought the land and built the shop and designed the front of it and everything to attract people. Or she could rent it. If somebody else has bought the shop in a prime position, and she can't get that position anymore, then she might rent the shop or she might not have the money. I say that with a smile because it probably costs £1 to buy or a penny to rent. So we're not talking big numbers here, but she's become a millionaire in real life. So there's definitely money to be made in this. And we're just at the infancy. And in 2003, we were certainly at the infancy. So there you have it. I hope this has helped you understand a little bit. We've just scratched the surface of the metaverse and what it is. Web 3.0 and the marrying of virtual reality with the World Wide Web. Second Life and kind of the history and where we came from, and then where we are and where we're going in terms of the future demand. There are some serious applications for the metaverse, and as I say, we are just scratching the surface. We are just getting started. I will be creating much more in-depth videos that really get to the heart of some of the technology that is about to become live. This is a massive and exciting time to be alive, and a massive opportunity. If you're looking to start a business, then I strongly suggest that you have a look at some of these use cases, because particularly education, that's one of my favorites. I can't imagine being a little boy and being in that jungle where the walls of the classroom fall away. Imagine that as an experience, and imagine the impact you would have on children's lives and children's learning if you could be the person that brought that kind of thing to life. Absolutely amazing. But sadly, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you ever so much for watching as always. If you're new to the channel, please have a look at some of my other stuff. I try to help you with your health, wealth, and happiness. And I'm on Instagram if you'd like to see more of my personal side of my life. And I'm on Twitter if you want to see the day-to-day what I'm up to. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you soon.